All right, so we're diving into e-commerce today.
Hmm.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at this program called eCom Profit Sniper.
Interesting.
Yeah, and our source material is this really fascinating first-person account from someone who actually used the program.
Oh, cool. So, like, straight from the horse's mouth.
Exactly. And I think it'll be super helpful for our listeners who, maybe they're thinking about starting an online business,
Right.
but feeling kind of overwhelmed, like where do you even begin?
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll be breaking down what this person learned, both the good and the bad.
Right.
And hopefully, by the end of this deep dive, we can answer the question, can eCom Profit Sniper really help someone with no experience build a profitable online store?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Literally, maybe.
Yeah.
So what I found really interesting was how relatable the user's initial struggles were.
Oh, yeah.
They were saying they felt lost, like they were trying all these different methods,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube tutorials, blog posts, even other courses, and just nothing was working.
Hmm.
It kind of shows how important it is to have like a structured approach, especially in e-commerce, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's constantly changing. I mean, it can feel like you're just drowning in information.
Totally. And they were stuck in this cycle, like trying things, not seeing results, feeling like they were just wasting time.
Doing their reels.
Exactly. And that's when they found this eCom Profit Sniper,
Okay.
which basically promises a more streamlined approach,
Yeah.
like automation, step-by-step guidance, and this focus on finding those winning
Those
products.
money makers.
Yes. And I think one of the coolest things is how the program helped them find this niche.
Oh, interesting.
They were having trouble before, like ending up with products that were either too competitive or the profit margin was too low.
Right.
So Ecom Profit Sniper actually led them to home organization products,
Mm.
which they never would have thought of on their own.
Wow, that's pretty niche.
Right. But it proves how having a structured approach can unearth these hidden gems.
Absolutely. It's like sometimes you need a little guidance to see the forest for the trees.
Totally. So I'm curious, did the program have any specific tools or strategies for finding these winning products?
Yeah, from what I gathered, it sounds like they use a data-driven approach, tools to analyze market trends,
Okay.
competition levels, potential profitability. But they also really emphasized understanding the target audience's pain points and desires.
Oh, right.
Like in the case of home organization products, it might be a desire for, say, like order or efficiency.
Right, like making life less stressful.
Exactly. So it's not just about finding a product, it's about understanding who you're selling it to.
Totally. Speaking of creating a good experience for customers, the user talked about the importance of website design.
Yeah, crucial.
They followed the program's advice to keep the website clean and simple,
Oh, that's good.
and they actually saw a decrease in their bounce rate.
Simplicity can be so powerful. I mean, have you ever gone to a website and it's just like so cluttered, you immediately click away?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Right.
Too much going on.
Exactly.
So did they mention like any specific design principles?
Yeah, they highlighted things like clear navigation, concise product descriptions, and using really high quality images.
Makes sense.
Oh, and also making sure the website's mobile responsive so it looks good on any device.
So important these days.
Absolutely. It's all about creating a smooth user experience.
Totally. Now let's talk about advertising. This is something a lot of people struggle with, right?
Yeah, it can be a real headache.
So the user, before using the program, they admitted to wasting money on Facebook ads.
Oh, no.
Yeah, getting clicks, but no sales.
Common problem.
Right. So Ecom Profit Sniper really stressed targeted advertising.
Okay, so how did they do that?
Well, it sounds like the program helped them narrow their focus and target those niche audiences we talked about.
Right.
So instead of trying to reach everyone, they learned how to hone in on specific demographics and address their unique pain points.
Much smarter approach.
Definitely. Working smarter, not harder. Right.
Exactly. So how did that work with their home organization product?
So they targeted busy moms, knowing that this demographic is often juggling a million things.
Makes sense.
Right. And looking for ways to simplify their lives. So the ads focused on how the product could help them reduce clutter, save time.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, they even used visuals of families and kids surrounded by toys to really connect with that audience.
Yeah, smart.
And it worked. Their conversion rates, skyrocketed once they implemented these strategies.
Wow, that's impressive.
Right. They finally cracked the code. And then another thing that really stood out to me was how the program introduced them to upselling.
Upselling.
Yeah, which they hadn't even considered before.
Interesting.
But it's a great way to increase the average order value.
Sure, sure. But you got to do it right so it doesn't feel pushy.
Right. And the program stressed the importance of relevance. Like, the upsells have to make sense with what the customer is already buying.
Oh, yeah, that's key.
So, for example, if someone's buying a storage bin, maybe you suggest drawer dividers or a label maker as an add-on.
Makes sense.
It's all about providing extra value. And the user saw a significant increase in their average order value.
Wow. So simple but effective.
Right. It's like that classic, would you like fries with that?
Exactly.
But for e-commerce, now get this, they talked about this thing called lookalike audiences, which was a complete game changer for them.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that?
So basically, it's using data from your existing customers to find new potential customers who are similar.
Oh, so like targeting people who are likely to be interested in your products based on who already buys from you.
Yes. It's like cloning your ideal customer. You analyze their demographics, their interests, online behavior,
Okay.
and then you create a lookalike audience on platforms like Facebook. So you're targeting people who are statistically more likely to buy.
Wow, that's really leveraging the power of data.
It's brilliant. And it seems like this was a major turning point for the user.
So all this is great for the business side, but did they talk about the importance of building trust with customers too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The program really stressed that, especially in the online world, where customers can't physically interact with your products.
Right.
They talked about being transparent, communicating clearly, also, providing social proof.
Yeah, that's so important.
So things like customer reviews, detailed product descriptions, and a really easy return policy.
It's all about making the customer feel confident about buying from you.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, not everything was smooth sailing. They shared a story about inventory management that I think is really important.
Oh, inventory can be tricky.
It can. And the program did offer guidance, but the user admitted they didn't really pay attention to it at first. So they had this product that was selling like crazy, but they weren't keeping track of their supplier's stock levels.
Oh, no.
And then, boom, suddenly, tons of orders, and they couldn't fulfill them.
Yikes.
Right. It's a good reminder that you can't just set things up and forget about them.
You got to stay vigilant.
Totally. So they learned the hard way that staying on top of inventory is crucial. They started using the program's tools for tracking stock levels, setting up alerts, and communicating with their supplier more proactively.
Well, at least they learned from it. What about customer service? Did they touch on that at all?
Yeah, they had this kind of aha moment about customer service. At first, they thought of it as something you only deal with when there's a problem.
Right, like a reactive thing.
Exactly. But eCom Profit Sniper encouraged a more proactive approach,
Interesting.
like seeing it as a way to build relationships with customers.
Makes sense. Happy customers are more likely to come back. Right.
Exactly. They started responding to inquiries quickly, proactively resolving issues,
Good strategies.
and even adding personal touches to their communication.
Nice touch.
And then another thing that really helped was the community aspect of the program.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So there's this eCom Profit Sniper Facebook group where members can connect,
Oh.
share experiences, learn from each other, and the user said this was super valuable.
I bet. That kind of peer support can be so helpful. Did they get any specific tips from the group?
Yeah, actually. They learned about influencer marketing from another member, something they hadn't considered before.
Oh, wow. That's a great example of the power of community. So are they diving into influencer marketing next?
Well, that's a story for another time. We'll have to save that for part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me more about how they got into influencer marketing.
Well, they started small, partnering with micro-influencers in the home organization space.
Makes sense.
Yeah, these were people with a dedicated following, but who really aligned with their brand, like their values and aesthetic.
Smart move, especially when you're starting out.
Right. Instead of going for those huge names, they focused on authenticity and building real relationships with influencers who could really connect with their target audience.
I bet that resonated better with their customers, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it paid off. They saw a big jump in website traffic and brand awareness after each campaign.
That's great.
Yeah, and not just vanity metrics either.
Yeah.
They actually saw a direct increase in sales from the influencer posts.
So it was driving real results.
Yeah, it really shows how influencer marketing, when done right, can be a powerful tool.
Especially when combined with all the other stuff they were doing, like targeted Facebook ads and that great website.
Exactly. It all worked together.
Synergy. So what about email marketing? Did they tap into that at all?
At first, they were kind of skeptical.
Really?
Yeah, they thought it was a bit outdated.
I can see that.
But all the success stories from the community got them curious.
Yeah, email's not dead.
Definitely not. And the program really emphasized that email shouldn't be just about blasting out sales pitches.
Right, it's about building relationships.
Exactly. It's about providing value, staying top of mind, and offering content that people actually want to read.
Makes sense.
So, did the program give them any tips on how to do email well?
Oh yeah, tons.
Like what?
Well, first off, segmentation.
Okay, breaking your list down into smaller groups.
Exactly. So you can send more targeted emails based on people's behavior or interests.
Makes those emails way more relevant.
Right. They also talked about personalization, making each email feel like it's just for that one person.
I like that.
And they stressed having a strong welcome sequence to nurture new subscribers right from the start.
Kind of like setting the tone for the relationship.
Exactly. So did they have any specific email campaigns they mentioned?
Oh, yeah. They did welcome sequences, promotional emails for new products or discounts, and even some educational emails with tips and advice about home organization.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, those educational ones actually performed really well.
I bet. It's all about establishing yourself as an expert, even if you're not directly selling something.
Exactly. Now, all this success is great, but I'm sure they hit some roadblocks along the way,
Oh, yeah. Running a business is never easy.
especially time management. They talked about feeling completely overwhelmed at one point.
I can imagine there's always so much to do.
Right, and they were working all the time, but still felt like they couldn't keep up.
Ugh, been there.
So the program introduced them to the idea of outsourcing.
Ah, delegating.
Yeah, they emphasized that your time is your most valuable asset, so you should focus on the high-level stuff and let other people handle the more routine tasks.
It's hard to let go sometimes, though, isn't it?
It is. And they admitted to feeling hesitant at first,
Totally understandable.
but they quickly realized that outsourcing was the key to, not burning out.
And scaling the business.
Exactly. So they started with virtual assistants for things like customer service, order fulfillment, and managing their social media.
Good starting point.
Yeah. And they said it was like a huge weight lifted off their shoulders.
I bet. What did they do with all their newfound free time?
They focused on bigger things like developing new products, planning their marketing strategy, and looking for new growth opportunities.
That's awesome. They finally had the space to think strategically.
And it made the business more scalable, too.
Outsourcing can be a real game changer.
Totally. Now, one last thing they emphasized was adaptability.
Oh, so important in e-commerce.
Right. They actually admitted to getting a little complacent at one point.
Oh no, what happened?
Their sales started to drop because they weren't keeping up with changes in the market.
Ah, things move fast online.
They do. So the program really encouraged them to, keep learning, stay curious.
Did they give them any specific advice on how to do that?
Well, they said to subscribe to industry newsletters, go to webinars, connect with other e-commerce folks.
Great ways to stay in the loop.
Yeah, and they stressed the importance of A/B testing, experimenting with different approaches, and looking at the data.
It's all about staying nimble and being willing to change course when needed.
Absolutely. So, for example, they started out just focusing on Facebook ads, but then they added Instagram and Pinterest when they saw their audience shifting to those platforms.
smart.
Yeah, and they even revamped their email marketing based on what they learned from experts and their own A/B testing.
It sounds like they really embrace this idea of continuous improvement.
They did, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from their story.
It's not just about learning a set of tactics.
Right, it's about developing a mindset that allows you to adapt and thrive in a constantly changing environment.
That's what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the rest.
Totally.
It's really inspiring, to see how far they've come.
It is. And all the lessons they learned along the way.
Definitely. I think it really shows that building a successful e-commerce business isn't about finding some secret trick or following a formula.
Right, there's no magic bullet.
Exactly. It's about always learning, experimenting, trying new things.
And adapting.
Yes, adapting is key.
And they really emphasize how eCom Profit Sniper wasn't just about the tools. It was about, changing their mindset.
Oh, absolutely. Tools and strategies are important, but they only work if you have the right mindset.
Totally.
They were open to challenges, they wanted to learn, and they weren't afraid to adapt.
And that made all the difference.
Exactly. It's like that saying, what is it? Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime.
Right.
This program, it's like it taught them how to fish, you know?
It gave them the skills to succeed on their own.
Exactly. And so now that we've reached the end of this deep dive, I'm curious,
Yeah.
what really stood out to you? What resonated?
For me, it was the community aspect.
Oh, yeah. That was amazing.
Just knowing you don't have to do this alone.
For sure. Having that support system can be so powerful.
Totally. So, listener, what about you? What are you taking away from this? What are you thinking about?
And remember, every journey is different.
Right. What worked for this person might not work for everyone.
But there are some universal principles, right?
Definitely. Like finding your niche, building trust, offering real value.
Yes. And using data to your advantage.
Oh, and being adaptable. Never stop learning and growing.
So as you embark on your own e-commerce adventure, remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Enjoy the ride.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the wins, and never stop learning.
Because in e-commerce, there are always new opportunities waiting to be discovered. Until next time, happy hustling.
Yeah.